a whole lot.
Salmon raising.
When you come down here, or you say you're gonna pick up any private tile that he has going in there?
Anything will get
Okay,
hooked in.
yeah, cause really without this tile, he's land trapped.
Yes.
When you come
And-
down,
and the way
that's
we're
one
gonna
thing I'm
get-
concerned with.
And the way we're gonna bring a 12-inch up in there, and the way we're going to spur off on sub mains, and the way it's gonna be ditched through there, we're gonna have a 6 close that if he would ever want to systematically ditch it, and I plan on giving him a map when I'm done.
Okay,
That way he has records of it that if, not that he probably ever will, but
well, I know that, but you don't know how long that, you don't know how long that property's gonna stay in that name.
Yeah.
So,
Not long.
So I am sending around the watershed map, how the computations on the acreages into that part of the system there.
okay,
And so you see the watershed from where his catch basin is on the north side of the property, all the way upstream there.
so
So,
some like Gilbert's on there, he has his own outlet.
Yeah.
And some of the people that are on, Working Earth, he's on his own system, but according to the calculations, it showed that it shed that way.
the overland flow would go like we're showing there on that map. The tile drainage, that's flat enough out there that they can drain that whatever direction. Well, I mean, it has to go to the marts, but
Yeah.
they can drain easily across watersheds there.
also move that we accept the vacation due to the fact that it's, they're providing outlets for everybody. I mean, it's not gonna really affect anything.
We'll have to take it off of the legal system.
Correct,
We'll remove that part, which is definitely shown incorrect anyway.
correct.
A motion was made by Bill,
Second.
JD second, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thank you,
Mike,
sir.
for the benefit of people sitting at this, on this board in the future, perhaps even landowners won't be the same. Just, you'll make sure that this is well documented
Yeah.
so that if there's ever any questions, well, isn't this a legal tile? No, it's been,
Yeah, so we'll get on to our next one here, where
Brewster.
we had to do a lot of research to figure that one out, the next one out. I'll explain it.
Talking about the Brewster, right?
Yeah. I gotta figure out which one I had on there. That was John Schwartz. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
keep going.
All right.
Don't pay attention to me. Exactly, where is it located?
Okay. So here's 900 south, I had to get the right place, and 450 east, okay? Am I looking right? Yeah, I am here. Yes, okay. He wants to build replace a barn down here. I'm gonna go, that's me. I can,
Got it.
that's some of the,
It stopped. You're good.
it's probably going through. Let me get to a detail. Okay, so he's got a barn here, a building he'd like to tear down, and he wants to build a new barn connected there, a good improvement for the property. We show this Kelly running across there. There's 2 tiles there, one of them broken down, a lot of holes in it, and one beside it. Pretty much where this, I'd say where the line shows is in between them, I would guess. With Amy's getting good at researching. In July 24th of 2006, the Kelly tile replaced a portion of the Kelly tile, and it's across this property, and it was replaced 1,700 feet of dual wall 12-inch from the head wall along 450 East is where we're at there. to the north-south fence line of Reuben Graber and the Yoder family farm. We drove over to where the neighbor was. They were having a family gathering that day. And the guys to the north here, he says, that was done up to my property line. It was replaced. So we searched back and found it. So there's two tile there. The old one's broken down bad, but it's still flowing because it has holes in it. So I said, if you want to get rid of that, you know, you gotta do whatever you want with that one. But I think we're good with the legal tile. And then his building would be, within, 50 feet of that new tile that was put in 2006. It'd be a 50-foot from it.
Is the new tile located about where the red line's at
Yeah,
right now?
it's pretty close on the red line. I'd say that red line might be, a little off, but it's real close there. And the old existing tile, runs, towards the building. It's within about 30 feet of the building
And
where he wants to go.
Did we ever vacate the old tile?
I think so. Well, it was replaced here.
That's
It
what
was
I said. Did the board actually vacate it?
Private project, to replace about 700 feet. Landowners are responsible to pay their own private hookup and tile connections. Surveyor will get back to the board at a later date with an amount he will recommend to pay. And so that was done November 20th then, when they just did a report here, replacing approximately 700 feet, dual wall 12-inch. Surveyor received a bill from Kerry Jones Farm Drainage for this finished project as follows: $10,543.52 and $9,720 being paid from the Kelly Tile escrow account. So they did a escrow account. The surveyor is recommending paying the remaining $825.52 from the Brewster system on this project. The Brewster had a balance of $6,000 at that time. Motion by Doug Bauman and second by Steve Bauman, carried unanimous to pay $8,023.52 from the Brewster maintenance systems toward this project. That is the record. If you
Okay,
guys want to see it, I'll send that around too.
I'm just wondering, does this board still have a responsibility? Do you feel we still have a responsibility to maintain that old
Of the
tile?
old time. That is all that I can find.
Because I don't think we should maintain the old tile since there's a new tile in there that
I
replaced
agree,
it.
I would agree, and the drainage board put money into it. I would agree with that, and I think everybody around there, once we figured this out, this was a really good puzzle. Everybody's good with that new tile being the tile.
Is the old tile even functional?
It has holes in it.
If it has
so
suck holes, it's
It's
working.
flowing yet. It's breaking and flowing,
Yeah,
and I suggested, and then, do they know that all their tiles are connected to the new one? Nobody knows. That was my question to him. Do you have any water running into that old tile yet?
I just don't wanna see the board maintaining an old tile with the hard-earned tax money these people are paying, then they got a brand new one already there.
I understand, and that's what, we talked a long time about that. It was really kind of nice sitting over there with them guys at their family meeting. They were just, the kids were playing volleyball and stuff, so we just sit there and talk to them. And the landowners love it that the new tile was put in there, and just how it is.
Is that old tile parallel
It's pretty,
all the way, or is it
as
just?
far as I can tell, yeah, it'd be pretty much parallel. Yeah, that they just put the new one in beside it, probably off about, I don't know, I think I measured that. Whether I'm 20 feet off.
So really, the question.
Yeah, 20 feet off the old tiles where they're at.
So really, the question before the board here is whether or not we're gonna allow him to build 50 feet from the new
It's the
tile.
variance, yeah. And if we want to do more on the old tile, we can. if you want to, what, abandon it, would be the right term probably?
Yeah, I think we,
And actually put it in here in the minutes right now would be a good time to do that. I think that was the intention. 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 I think that was the intention.
What is the normal distance from a located, 75 foot?
75 foot.
So he's asking for a 25 foot. And it appears that there would be plenty of space on the other side if dipping ever need to occur.
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with the 50 foot. The 50 foot's fine. I mean, that's not gonna cause any problem to the new tile. My only question is, and that probably has nothing to do with what we're looking at today, but we should talk about abandoning that old tile so that we don't spend.
So let's
money.
take action on the 50 foot and then talk about abandoning the old tile.
There we go.
Okay, any further discussion on the variance? And we entertain a motion, if the board sees fit to grant that.
Move to grant a 50-foot variance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now on the abandonment of the,
Do we
old
have-
tile that
do we have to have a-
parallels to
Do we have to have
Kelly.
a hearing to abandon an old tile?
I don't know.
Do we need to, I mean, the minute said this tile was replaced.
Yeah, it's
So
a
just didn't
replacement.
tear the old one out when they
Right.
replaced it, so I guess if it says it's replaced, then the old one's no longer a problem.
But the new one, it would be the legal tile.
The
That's
new
the way
one
I
is
would
the legal
interpret that too,
tile.
that way.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that, but I just think we should mention something in the minutes
Okay.
in case these landowners change hands down there.
Mhm.
The surveyor's office has a position saying, no, the board, we're not taking care of that old tile.
Yeah.
We're only taking care of the new one. You can do whatever you want with that old tile.
Yeah, I guess in my interpretation, when you would say you replaced it, like, the old
Well,
one is no
Well,
longer.
maybe we just make a note that the old tile was replaced.
And.
And the drainage board is only responsible for a new Kelly tile.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And
What do you think?
because Steve raised the point up, if you're gonna vacate something, do we need to have it on a separate
you-
agenda with notification and all?
I think you do need to do that. If you're gonna abandon it, but if you're, and I guess I look at the term replace, when you say replace, you put it in the exact location as the old tile was at. That's replacing.
Well, why don't
that
we
tile.
just have next drainage board meeting, just bring back Kelly, this Brewster system, the Kelly tile, and just vacate it and be done with it.
See-
All it has to advertise it, we'll make a decision on it that next meeting and it'll be done.
Do you want it signed like we did on
Well, I mean,
the marks
you always gotta
there?
think about people 15, 20 years from
That's-
now.
Right.
And if it's not clearly stated, then it's, well, we don't understand what happened here. We do, but they won't.
What do you do with the running water and it has some holes in it? And just to be blunt, an Englishman buys that and says, I'm gonna do something with this abandoned tile. And he's gonna say, well, what would you do with it to take care of the running water? If it's running water,
Yeah,
it's gonna make a
going
mess if
somewhere.
you close it up.
Would you
yeah,
Totally destroy it.
I mean, when they replaced it, they should have like either ran a tile pile down the old one, since they should have either went directly on top of it and dealt with all the bats, or went beside it and then ran like a plow or something and
They
tore the
didn't do
old one
that.
out, but that didn't happen.
Well, I know Kerry Jones, and I guarantee you that where he ran beside it, he tied in whatever he hit.
He was really good, yeah.
He was good. I mean, Kerry tied in, but on the other side of that, that's what you don't know.
No.
And,
That's
Yeah.
probably why it runs water.
yeah,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wouldn't be our responsibility to
Yeah,
run the
no,
sub
yeah.
main
And
Right.
what
out
happens,
on the other side.
what happens, you get a new landowner that sees a suck hole, they call Amy and put it on a work order.
yeah, that's right.
And the crew goes out there and they're trying to repair a tile
Doesn't exist.
that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, because
They do. Kevin's really good. Kevin, had so much experience and time in here. He knows most of these places.
Yeah, but Kevin will not be there forever.
That's exactly right, yep.
And I know, and Kerry's done this when I was surveyor, when we got rid of the old tile and we replaced it, we ran the ditch machine wheel right down the middle of the old tile. We broke it all down.
Yeah.
And the guys had to deal with bats on top, but that was fine, but that way we didn't have to worry about trying to go out and fix an old tile.
Okay, so moving forward, we approved the variance that was on the agenda.
Yeah.
Do we want Mike to bring back next drainage board meeting an official
Abandon it.
vacation
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
old one?
to abandon it, yes.
Okay, Mike, you
And
got
if
that?
they wanna fix it, they can fix it
All
themselves.
right.
Right.
Okay, any other discussion on the Brewster? Mike, that we needed to
Nope,
have?
that's all I got there. That'll be an interesting one to get everybody together down.
Okay, well, that's what, things change. Blakey watershed.
Okay, I'll get up here where we're at. So Highway 101 and 800 North. And we're talking right here in the Stigmeyer where my cursor is. I will,
You want me to sign?
let me blow up a little bit. The good part about this one is we dipped that Stigmeyer year and a half ago from 101 up to 900 North. So it's over in your neighborhood there. Let me go to another detail. Okay. So here I'm looking at the actual place where their building is back there on the ditch. The houses in 101 is over here to the west and 800 North, 900 North is north of it. They have this old barn in there, which was built by, oh, I got the whole history when I was out there. By such and such, it's like their father-in-law and on and on. It is junk and they want to tear it down. They want to build a new one up there, a new pole barn with the guys in Craigville, which is Meyer Building is gonna build that. Right now they are from the ditch. What did I say, 20, we're 24 feet from the top of the open drain right there now to that corner of that building, what you see. I can move this in a little bit. So from the corner of the open drain to there's 24 feet. They are requesting 30 feet from the open drain. It's wooded all the way along that side. We dipped it from the opposite side here. There's a nice filter strip there that the Todd Teamy reseeded that filter strip to get back into the right with the NRCS. They really wanted to be closer, but I really suggested, got it to 30 feet was a good project. And I think we can do it because it's, as I say, it's all wooded there. We're not gonna go through that side of the ditch. To repair 30 feet, we can still drive through there. You see the trees at right on the, actually, there was a lot of trees planted in that ditch when we cleaned that. They were pine trees that the previous owners had put in there. And
Why would you do that?
he cut all that out. A majority of them he cut out and trimmed back. Now the Miller, the guy that owns that now, he was really helpful on clearing that ditch. So he put a lot of time in there. He's got it looking really nice now. So most of the majority of the trees are off of the ditch slope now. So I guess it's up to you. On the 30-foot variance is what he's requesting to rebuild that, put a new construction on. I think it could be done. I don't think we'll ever work from that side anyway. Comments? Feel free.
Oh, no, that's one of the first ditches I was involved in when I was surveyor. We got dipped and for some reason those people, I don't know if the same person or not, but they think that I had to take pine trees out of the bank of the ditch
Okay.
because pine trees, you don't put trees in ditches.
Yeah.
They don't hold the banks.
No, right.
Some people think they do, but they don't. They undermine.
I agree. So he cut the majority of them out, of what along there, so. This picture is the after. No, it'd be, let's see. Yeah, this is a photo before we dipped that.
Well, I always believe that giving variances is kind of the right thing to do, but on the other hand, and I'm not saying I'm against this project, but on the other hand, we set a 75 foot and, you know, and then,
I'm with you. I would rather see 75 foot all the way, but
you know, at the convenience of putting someone's building up. And I understand that, but property owner may not have I mean, if we can dip it from the other side, I guess I'm always a little bit leery about doing variances, but then we have a BZA board at the county level. And, matter of fact, sometimes I wonder, where granting variances on open drains and where the official BZA meeting happens, you know, sometimes I wonder why these kind of things don't come up for a BZA meeting instead of a drainage board.
well. But this is the drainage law we're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes back to the beginning of the state.
Yeah.
A lot of these.
I mean, it's up
rules.
to the board.
I'm with you.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're gaining 5 feet, because he said he's moving
Yeah.
from 25 to 30. I mean, yeah, I'd probably like to see 50, but, you know, if that's what works, I think, you know, yeah, we're probably always gonna dip from the other side and maintain from the other side. I'm okay with it. I guess for new construction, I'd normally like to see like at least 50 feet, but,
That's where I always start with, and this one, I said, do you have a hardship why you couldn't move that building back farther? Well, that's where it is. You know, that's their reasoning. That's where it was put. They're gonna put whole new foundation, there's a little concrete in there that's gonna be torn out because it's an old barn. I think somebody let the roof go and, you know, they don't last long.
And that 30 feet from the top of the bank, right?
Top of the bank, yep, to the corner of the building, yeah. Yep. Mhm.
Entertain a motion if you're,
I had a question.
Is that a heavy flowing ditch that in 75 years from now, that bank's gonna be 5 feet farther out? Or is it-
It's right where it starts.
Yeah, it's the head wall is
Headwall's
right
on
there.
101.
Oh, okay.
Come on. Yep, so that is
every
the head wall.
situation is different, so.
There are two big tiles running in here. This legal tile, the Stigmeyer legal, right on the side of 101. Actually, it's in the right of way of 101, and there's holes there. There's telephone, there's fiber optic in that one. That's a nasty one to fix. But the guys have run in the past, there's two big tiles running from 800 north here, falling into that. Because it was always, that's pretty flat there. And so there are two of them that, one of them goes almost back there by the building and where it hits it. There's two, I'd say they're probably 10 or 12 inch running through there. You might have known the father, Todd's father, Timmy. Yeah. And so he was related to Otto Timmy, and who worked with Otto, or who did Otto start with? Blakey, wasn't that a Blakey? That's who run them tiles. They have a lot of tiles that were put in by them guys.
I guess I'm looking at the map here and I'm seeing where, unless there's a septic field in front of that barn, which I don't think there
No, I
is.
don't know. I'd say the septic is up closer to the house.
Okay. That he's got room that he could gain 50 feet. I mean, it's not, there's plenty of room there.
When I blow it up,
Maybe he's putting up a 100 by 100 foot building. I don't know what he's planning on putting up.
I don't know. They said they're replacing that barn. I never
Okay.
asked the size of it. There is no drive back to it, it's just, the grass.
Yeah, it's a grass lane. I know where it's at.
So if your feelings are that way, we can take it back to them. I can do it.
I'd feel a little better with 50,
Yeah,
but I don't,
yeah, I guess I'd feel different if he was hard pressed and there was other buildings up against there and this is, you know, he's replacing an existing building that attaches onto other buildings there, all right, but this is gonna be a brand new structure and I can see where he's got the room. You know, and it's not gonna affect, you know, I just don't see where another
20 feet.
20 feet's gonna hurt. Because that gives room for, you know, the river will, and ditches are the same thing, has the opportunity to meander 10 times the top of this width. Either way.
I can see it's a little clearer when I go this way, you can see what's there. So the house is up here,
Mhm.
their drive comes in, and they are using just Overland Drive here to
Oh,
get
sure.
into that.
So we'll take your cursor to where the barn's gonna be.
The barn's right here.
And so he wants the old, that little white spot's the old barn?
No, that's a little gravel right there.
Gravel, okay.
The barn is this brown spot right here
Okay,
where I'm on.
so what keeps him from going,
East
yeah,
or west, I mean.
West.
Due west. Due
West,
west.
yeah, really nothing, the line here is the property
Property
line.
line, yeah.
A representation
That's
of
about
the
right.
property line.
Yeah.
so how far is the old barn from the property line right now? Right, that's
24 feet. I think.
24 feet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so if he would go back the other way at 20 feet, he'd be right on the property line with the edge of that barn. Matter of fact, he can't get within
Well,
20 feet from the property line, can he? Isn't that?
Yeah.
what
so-
I'm saying is move the whole thing this way.
Oh,
Not that way, this way, and you'll gain 50 feet from the ditch here. And the only reason I'm saying that, he's got all this room. The only thing that I would say would stop him is if there's a septic field in there, but I don't think there is. I think his septic field's up in here.
I would guess the septic is over here
Yeah,
somewhere,
that's,
he's
somewhere
got
in
lots of
there.
room to put a barn up.
yeah.
But I don't know, I didn't.
Do we table it and ask, maybe more information from Sean or?
Well, I can ask him, yeah. I mean,
Tell the
I
board's
don't wanna
inclined,
stand in the way of
board's
this plan.
inclined
Yeah, I
to
don't-
give you
I'm
50
not-
feet.
I'm not
but
trying
not
to-
30.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Be a horse's patoot here or anything,
Oh,
but
I'll
he's,
talk to him, that's
you know,
fine with me.
if, he got the room and.
How soon does he want, is he in a big hurry to put this
Oh.
structure up?
So the person, my contact has been with the Meyer building.
Oh,
There's a lady there that must do their permits and all that stuff. And she's very interested in getting it done fast.
Well, they always are. I know Myers.
What if we granted a 50-foot?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I don't have
And then
problem
if that's
with that.
unacceptable, have them come back and help us understand why that won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then they can move
Then
forward.
Then they can move forward. with it.
I asked them to come today too, but they didn't, it didn't work.
Well,
out.
entertain a motion.
I'll move for a 50-foot.
Is
Second,
that a motion?
Yes, that is a motion.
Second?
second.
JD, all in favor?
Aye.
Before we adjourn, Doug, you had, you have a concern that, or a question you'd like answered, bring it up.
I'd like to know what the code is for dipping ditches. And is there a code for dipping the ditches?
Mike, did you hear what?
No, sorry,
Okay, go ahead.
I wanna know what the code is for dipping ditches.
the code,
Yeah, ain't there a code?
well, there's regulations on how we go about it.
Well, what is the state regulation for dipping? a ditch?
Well, so are you talking a reconstruction? If you're talking reconstruction,
If you
where,
go in and Dip a ditch, then the banks fall in, you then dip it.
Well, yeah, his concern, on his property,
sorry.
the open ditch parallels a road. And his concern is when that ditch is dipped close to the road, then the bank falls in and matter of fact, we're just addressing even it is.
We're addressing one like that.
Yeah, Brad, you had a concern, you just completed a project that had the same concern.
We have completed one and we are looking at two others right now.
And where Doug's at, I was up there with him, and there are a number of slips on that, ditch there. I don't argue with that. We would have to, if he, what he would request is to move it back into the field.
Well, that's what it should have been, cause the way you done it now, it didn't even do no good to dip it, you know what I'm saying, cause it's full of mud.
And it has some sediment in
And
it.
wasting a bunch of taxpayers'
As-
money.
As
Now
far
it's
as,
gonna get into the road for too long.
okay, as far as sediment, very, you know, how bad it is, that is of concern, but I don't think it's real bad sediment in there. I
Real
wouldn't,
bad, it's got the ditch plugged up.
so that's my opinion. I was up there, I've looked at it with him.
Dipping a ditch, you know what I'm saying? You go up now in county, when you ditch up there, however deep it is, it's gotta come back so many feet as it comes up, so it will fall in. Now, they got a code up there, Adams County all have the same thing, shouldn't they?
What is their code, what you're saying?
They got code when you're dipping a ditch. How many feet it is down, is how much you got.
You're talking
on the back.
the angle of the back.
Yeah. We should keep them like 2-to-1, 3-to-1 would be nice. 3-to-1 is natural repose on which the banks won't slide in.
And we probably have a number of them that are closer to 1-to-1.
A 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1.
1.5-to-1, yep, I agree.
And if they dip a ditch and they come down like this, then all of a sudden they come down straight, that bank's gonna slide.
It's gonna slide, no doubt.
Has no choice, but it's gonna slide. So that's why you gotta take the angle of repose, in other words, the angle that ditch comes down, that's where you have to dip. The problem that we run into and everybody's this way, no one wants to give up any property. No one wants to give up property to bring that angle of repose back into their field when it's up against the road. A lot of the ditch, you know, I'll be the first one to say, years ago, they put the ditches up against the road. Why they did that, I don't know. But they should never have done
Probably
it.
moved it so that the farmer didn't have to farm both sides of it.
Yeah.
Right,
so,
and
you
the
know.
roads got wider over the
Yeah.
years.
Right.
You know, back then it was a 1-track, 10-foot path.
If Brad's gonna rebuild a road, he's not gonna be the same width as it was, if it's an old road.
So I know what you're talking about. I've looked at it. I sat in a presentation by Bob Barr from the University of Indianapolis at the the Maumee River Basin Commission last meeting. Were you at that one, Steve, when Bob presented that, or his assistant did?
Yep.
It was about the Cedar Creek stream study. And the most interesting part to me, I don't know if Steve caught that one.
I
is
did.
He
We
called
talked
it,
about it afterwards.
he called it bank full. Well, how many times does the ditch get full of water, and how long that is? That was his term, bank full. And what was that? How many times? I don't have the details.
The more times it got full, the more erosion
The
basically
more
there
erosion
was.
And because of our increased rainfall, the frequency and the increased
gonna increase.
amounts, we're getting bank full. I forget what he said, the years of study, the bank full on that one was 30 or 40 times.
That's
In
a
the
lot.
length of that was 10 years, whatever. Cedar Creek flows a lot of water, but same way here, bank full on all of ours are also happening. So that's why Bob says that these streams are not holding. He's been down here. He knows Adams County. He was down here with Paul Knorr. And he said, we're one of the most severe counties because of our soil types and the flow we have.
Was that done in 2023?
Pardon me?
Was that done in 2023?
I'm not sure what you're.
Oh, a lot of it happened 22 and 23.
Cause I got pictures of April of 2023 when they did the Hendricks on the road and it's.
Yeah.
Horrible in slips.
During that time was a lot of them. My first term, when I started here, there was a lot of bank slippage.
But when there's a project to dip a ditch, a lot of times the contractor will come in and he'll go down to the bottom and take a scoop out and dump it up on the bank. And and if it was a 3-to-1, he's not keeping that 3-to-1. He's just taking out the bottom. And that's what we, you know, and that's usually what happens when a ditch is dipped. Very seldom you see,
On the bank.
right,
Your address again, Doug, where you're on 600 East
Yeah,
at,
11361 north,
so 1,000 North?
and 1,000 north, then right there at 900 north,
Okay,
just
yeah,
south of
okay.
there.
Yeah, I'm getting, yeah. So the Geimer Door is the worst one along 600 East here that we have probably, or one of the worst, being right on the road there. So this is your place, no, you're up here. You live here, right? No. I'm trying to, do you live closer, you live north of 950 there?
And north of 1100.
Okay. Sorry, it takes me a little bit to,
A little bit further north.
farther north, yeah? Okay, here's 1100.
A little bit further north.
Oh, yeah, okay, so here's your place,
Yeah,
right there. So here
Yeah, right there, that ditch right there.
that's the Dar ditch is on the west side, and the other one he was talking about was the Geimer Door down there south. And this is a rather deep ditch here that they've done. So he lives in the house here, and then the other one was down farther.
well, back to his original question, does Allen County even, do they actually have a code when it comes to dipping ditches?
That I can't answer.
Yeah, it's Ribble, that ditch right there goes on around, goes up in Allen County. And it dumps into the flat rock up there.
Right.
And Rubel's wanted to straighten that ditch up because it cut off quite a few acres of their property. And Kim went up there to Allen County there and said, yeah, you can move that ditch, but it's got to be built to code. And however deep it was, they had to flare the banks back.
Well-
And took it straight out to the flat rock.
I don't know that code is the right term. Their
Well, I don't know what they
specifications,
call it, but
their
they got
specifications
that
would be to lay that one back, to pull it back.
Redo the ditch.
Yeah, this is water that runs north into the Flat Rock, into the Maumee River here, where we're at.
Sounds to me like something we would get into if we were reconstructing a ditch. We would have to, we would be able to
Yeah,
specify.
Reconstruction,
you're
yeah.
Down there in the bottom, reconstructing the bottom of the ditch,
Well,
you might as well do it
that,
right.
I guess it's a matter of semantics, but maintenance is one thing and reconstruction is another one in our world. Maintenance is dipping ditches and clearing sides, but when we reconstruct, then there's a whole different set of
Yeah, but you
specifications.
reconstruct the ditch when all the banks slid in, it's all full of mud now.
I understand, but I guess the problem I've got is we've got several ditches like this that run close to roads. And the struggle is, yes, if you want to correct it, you've got to gain more right of way, gain more land.
Right away, you're paying that farmer not to farm that ground next to it.
Well, we aren't paying that.
Somebody's paying him,
Yeah. I get you. But it's not Adams
Get
County.
all the peeled back, done right, you know what I'm saying? Otherwise, it's wasting our tax money.
I understand.
I think one of the things maybe we could do when you got a ditch that needs dipped and it parallels a road.
Mhm.
We probably need to be a little bit more conscientious with the contractor that portion, they are actually trying to keep that 3-to-1. And rather than just going in and dipping that much out of the bottom.
So Nate and Brad and I have had this discussion many times now in the last 2 years on all these ditches are too close.
Yeah, all the ditches are too close.
But
Everyone.
specifically, when one is paralleling a road, that contractor, I think, needs to do a better job of just not hitting the bottom. And if it means
You
crowding out a
Because what,
farmer,
you push that opposite roadside out.
Blow that up right there.
slow it up.
Where he's at, you know?
Right there.
Right there,
All right, go a little bigger.
yeah.
Go up.
Like this?
That part where the house is.
Yeah.
Or the house, I want the house.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, right, stop right there. So tell me how you're gonna open that up.
Yeah, I hear you. I get it. I get it.
And that is one of the worst spots
First of all,
is across
first of
there.
all, it probably
This-
should never been allowed, but that's beside the point.
This one
And
has
when
a
they
big,
done that ditch, they put a culvert pipe right there, and they put a, I don't know, about 4-foot culvert pipe in for his driveway right there, and what, that right there's got 3/4 of the, ditch plugged up, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, there's a culvert, it's a long culvert pipe in there. I don't know what size it is.
Then there used to be a telephone box right there. And I used to take my 72-inch mower and mow on the west side of my mailbox there. I can't even get a 44-inch mower across around there on the other side and mow on the other side of the mailbox now. That's how much it's caving in. And before you know it, the road's gonna be down in the ditch.
This is a concern on every one of our ditches along the roads. And there's a lot of slippage also back in the fields that you don't see. That's the,
Nature of open ditch.
our nature, yeah, and we are getting more frequent rainfalls and more extreme, more,
And this board inherits those
volume.
problems.
so it's only going to,
But I think Doug's
Continue.
point is maybe well taken. Anytime
Yeah.
we're working along a
we
road,
watch.
we need to be conscious of that problem and not exacerbate the problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think too.
And that means you're gonna have to be watchdog on that.
Yeah, so it's best to keep that at a V at the bottom instead of dipping that round. And I have been saying, every one of my contractors now, I've been saying, I do not want them just go down in there and dip it out. I want you to go down and I want you to leave a V.
Dig that at the bottom.
That's gonna make a big difference.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
Sorry,
They-
for the drainage board, something that came up yesterday, Ish Excavating's working for me on a culvert on 650 south. They carry Peter Tile in the Wagley Farlow ditch, 650 south, just west of 200 east. In the process of doing the culvert work, they're trying to tie in, there's a concrete box that sat there on the south side of the road. The Peter tile is supposed to come in, it was listed as a 24-inch tile there. It's not, and there's a spider web of private public tiles, and we can't find a good section of tile to connect to. So I'm gonna ask Mike to go out there after this meeting if he can and try to work on where that tile ends and where to stop it. I only can go really so far with the Cume Bridge Fund on the replacement of that tile, so I may be coming to you for some reimbursement as far as funds on that, depending on additional work that needs to go beyond that. So we think it's 24. It looked like it was 16 about 10 feet away. Now there's other tiles that are coming in. So I haven't had a chance to go back out there.
What's the location of that again? 200 east.
200 east, 650 south. It's right.
You're right here where
Yeah,
I'm,
to the west there. Sorry, go west.
go west,
Yeah,
okay.
it's right there.
This one right
Goes from
here.
the tile to the open ditch. So that's opened up. We've got the pipe in for the road crossing. He's supposed to be pouring the concrete drop structure for the surface water. But the teeter tile that comes in as one little line is definitely not acting like that in that area. And before we start going out into the bean field and start doing reconstruction of the legal tile, we're just trying to find a good place to stop our work, and we're not finding it right now. So I wanted, since you were here, I want to make you aware, I was gonna come meet with Mike as soon as I could, but there may be some cost associated with that. I don't necessarily know yet. So whatever I can cover, I'm certainly going to, but we're just finding that the pipe is ordered and we're not finding a consistent pipe size in that area. It's changing sizes. There's other pipes that are lying in. So tracking where the actual legal tile is and isn't, we could end up chasing a bunch of private tiles in that area. And I don't necessarily wanna do that.
I have it on, we show that as a 14-inch clay.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
so
That's our
that's
best.
what's there in that, so that may be what we end up trying to do, but I need to give John direction as far as where to stop and what size to put in there, so. Initially, we had it all as a 24 that showed in the box, that quickly turned into something else in that area, so.
That's down in a muck area.
It is fairly soft clay, but the muck is a little, we're at the top end of it, so once you get into that ditch further over, then that's where I'm concerned, I'm gonna get muck on 200 east. That I know is that muck. We did find some really fat clay in that area underneath the roadway.
But we've got one solid pipe as far as a steel pipe now, so there's no joints for it to settle and open up. So that's just my quick warning. I wanted to keep it short, but, there'll be more information at your next meeting, I hope.
Okay, thank you, Nate.
Thank you.
Anything else for good order? We got 10 o'clock meeting coming up about 5 minutes.
Motion adjourned.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Steve made the motion. We need a second. Greg second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion's, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.